to a magical place known as the Crystal Cave. To reach it, I descended underground, deep into the deadly heart of a Mexican lead mine.
Discoveries have emerged in Mexico that defy logic and stir conversation about the unknown. These findings are not just pieces of history. They reveal secrets that challenge modern understanding of the world we live in. Some say the evidence points to civilizations far older than the Maya or Aztec, leaving researchers in shock. As layers of earth give way to more treasures, each one seems more stranger than the last. Join us as we explore some of what they found in Mexico that will blow your mind. Number 1. The underwater cave system. Sistema Sac Actun is a flooded cave maze under the Yucatan Peninsula in the southeastern state of Quintana Roo. It is one of the longest underwater cave systems in the world. As of recent measurements, its underwater passages, including connected dry caves, the total reaches about 386 kilometers. The deepest part known goes down around 109.2 meters. Exploration began in 1987 around Gran Cenote, about 5 kilometers west of Tulum. Over many years, cave divers and speleologists connected Sac Actun with other cave systems such as Sistema Nohoch na Chich and Dos Ojos, making it far larger than before. Its entrances are through cenotes, sinkholes, hundreds of them, around 228 known cenotes, linking the cave's passages to the surface. Inside, archaeologists have found many things: remains of extinct animals, human remains, artifacts, ceramics, wall etchings. These suggest that the caves were at some point dry or accessible in prehistoric times, used by early humans, likely not as homes, but possibly as ritual places or sources of water. Also, because water levels changed over time, some parts of the caves were dry or partially dry, allowing animal and human remains to settle. Let's move to something more interesting. Number 2. Cave of the Crystals. The Cave of the Crystals lies inside the Nica mine in Chihuahua, northern Mexico. It sits about 300 meters below ground. The chamber is roughly 109 meters long and has a volume of between 5,000 to 6,000 cubic meters of space. What makes it incredible are the crystals inside. Giant selenite, gypsum crystals, some as long as 37.4 feet. The largest crystals weigh many tons, an estimated mass of approximately 12 tons for some, and are extremely pure in shape. The environment in the cave is brutally hostile. Temperatures reach about 58 degrees Celsius, with humidity between 90 to 99%. Those conditions make human exploration difficult. Without special gear, people can stay safely only for very short times. The fact is that these crystals did not form quickly.
You're in this kind of constant battle of being overpowered both physically, mentally, psychologically, in every way.
The process took many thousands to hundreds of thousands of years. The rock above is limestone, and the cave sits above a magma chamber several kilometers underground, which heated groundwater. That water, saturated with mineral ions, sulfates, calcium, moved through cracks, remained very hot, and allowed large crystals to grow slowly. Over time, as the temperature dropped and conditions stayed stable, the giant gypsum crystals formed. Because the crystals are sensitive, exposure to air, changes in moisture, and some other factors can damage them. The caves have been reflooded in places and access restricted to protect them. Number 3. The sea reptile. In Linares, a city in the state of Nuevo León, Mexico, something surprising was found by a farmer digging a well. Fossil bones, unlike most land animals. Scientists from the Autonomous University of Nuevo León took the bones and discovered they belonged to a marine lizard, a mosasaur. Because the bones were found far from any ocean today, the discovery suggests that millions of years ago, the region was under a shallow sea. They collected about 70 fragments of bone. These include vertebrae, jaw pieces, and interestingly shaped teeth. The animal is estimated to have been about 7 meters long and weighed close to 4 tons. Scientists are studying the shape of each bone, especially the vertebrae and teeth, to see if this mosasaur is a species not seen before. The bones are being compared with known mosasaurs to see differences. This discovery matters because it helps paint a picture of Earth's ancient environment.
They have told us that it's historic anatomical skeletons that they have found.
The land where dry fields are now was once underwater, full of marine animals. And now, with this find, people can imagine enormous sea reptiles swimming where cattle now graze. It shows how different Mexico's past was, how water, reptiles, sea life shaped its long history. Number 4. The Hidden Tunnel. Under the Temple of the Feathered Serpent in Teotihuacan, there is a tunnel and chamber system that was built by the ancient people who made Teotihuacan. The temple is in the area called the Citadel in Teotihuacan.
Mexico. More secrets have been revealed about the ancient city of Teotihuacan. Researchers have spent years digging beneath the surface.
Scholars used ground-penetrating radar, GPR, to study what's under it. Using special methods, researchers measured the different layers of soil, rock, fillings, the tunnel, and chamber fillings. They found that the tunnel and chamber parts have material like clay and limestone that filled in over time. The period of some radar signals inside the tunnel was nearly the same as outside, which tells them those inside fill and outside matrix have similar properties in some places. Also, the chamber filling had radar periods almost identical to the surrounding limestone clay matrix, which suggests these fill deposits are similar in composition. The tunnel is considered part of the hidden infrastructure, possibly used to bury offerings, conduct ceremony, or connect internal sacred spaces. It was built around 1,900 years ago, during Teotihuacan's peak. While the radar study doesn't reveal all the details of what was originally inside, archaeologists have found offerings in other tunnels at Teotihuacan, including burials, obsidian, ceramics, etc. If you think that was fascinating, then check out the next one. Number 5. The Island of Dolls. In the quiet floating gardens of Xochimilco called Chinampas, just south of Mexico City, lies a small island unlike any other. This is Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of Dolls. It did not start as a tourist spot or a haunted attraction. It began with a hermit named Don Julian Santana Barrera, who lived alone on the island in the 1950s. One day, he either found or failed to save a young girl who drowned in the canal. The details are unclear. However, he soon noticed a doll floating nearby in the water. Don Julian believed it belonged to the girl, so to honor her or to ward off her spirit, he hung the doll from a tree. After that, more dolls appeared. Some claim they were placed by Don Julian, others say they just showed up mysteriously. Over the decades, he collected thousands. Many were broken, missing limbs, eyes, heads. He scavenged them from canals, trash piles, traded his garden produce for them. He hung them everywhere, on trees, huts, poles, leaving a silent forest of dolls motionless in the breeze. Don Julian did this for nearly 50 years. Then, in 2001, he passed away. Some say he drowned in the same spot where the girl did. Others say it was a heart attack. But in local stories, the two deaths are linked. After his demise, the island became a strange pilgrimage. Visitors say that at night the dolls whisper, their heads turn, arms move. Whether spirit or myth, the island remains a place of sorrow, obsession, and silent dolls. Number 6. A Dinosaur Tale. In 2013, paleontologists working in northern Mexico made a discovery that took them back millions of years into prehistory. In the desert region of Coahuila, a team uncovered a remarkably well-preserved dinosaur tail. What made it extraordinary was its size and completeness, almost 16 feet long, with around 50 vertebrae intact. The scientists quickly identified it as belonging to a hadrosaur, a duck-billed dinosaur that roamed this land some 72 million years ago. The The tail lay buried in hard rock, preserved by the desert environment. Piece by piece, workers carefully brushed and cut away stone to reveal the ancient bones. Along with the tail, parts of the dinosaur's hip bone were also found, giving experts hope that more of the skeleton could still be hidden underground. Hadrosaurs were plant-eating giants, often moving in herds. Their long tails were essential for balance, especially when they stood on two legs to reach leaves or escape predators. The fact that this tail survived for millions of years in such good condition thrilled paleontologists because it offered a detailed glimpse into dinosaur anatomy. This discovery placed Mexico firmly on the map of dinosaur research. Coahuila is already known as a fossil hotspot, sometimes called the dinosaur capital of Mexico. This tail became another treasure from its ancient rocks. As scientists continue digging, they hope to recover more of the skeleton, piece together how these creatures lived, and reveal secrets of a vanished world beneath Mexico's deserts. Number 7. Olmec colossal heads. Long ago, along the Gulf Coast of what is now Mexico, the Olmec civilization built something amazing. Carved into basalt boulders, they created grand stone faces that would outlast centuries. These are the Olmec colossal heads. There are 17 known examples. 10 of them are at San Lorenzo, 4 at La Venta, 2 at Tres Zapotes, plus 1 more at Rancho La Cobata. Each was carved from a single massive block of basalt, often from sources far away, like the Tuxtla Mountains. They are huge. Some are nearly 3 meters tall. All weigh many tons. One needed 1,500 people for several months just to move it from where the rock was quarried. The faces are powerful. Wide noses, full lips, slightly crossed eyes, each with unique helmet-like headgear. No two are exactly alike. They may represent rulers. They may be expressions of status, power, even personality. Some of them were buried over time, others exposed. Soil and nature hid them. Rain and earth covered parts. When archaeologists began excavating, the hidden heads surprised them. One at Tres Zapotes was discovered in 1862. The effort to carve, move, and display these heads shows the Olmecs had a strong social order, skilled artisans, and resources for large projects. Each face tells of someone important long ago, carved in stone to live through time. Number 8. The Great Pyramid of Cholula. In the region of Puebla, not far from Mexico City, stands something that appears like a green hill. It rises gently, covered by trees, with a church perching on top. Most visitors see a quiet, pastoral scene, but buried within is one of the largest and oldest monuments built by people. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, called Tlachihualtepetl, man-made, mountain, in the Nahuatl language. Construction began a very long time ago, somewhere around the 3rd century BCE. Over many centuries, different cultures added to its structure. Layers upon layers were built, platforms, temples, courtyards. As time passed, the pyramid was partially covered by earth and vegetation. To outsiders, it looked like a natural hill. Then, when the Spanish came, they built a church on its highest point, hiding its true shape even more. Beneath the hill, archaeologists have found tunnels, stairways, altars, hidden chambers, sacrificial offerings, remains, murals, all signs of ancient religious life. The sheer volume of the pyramid is massive. It is the largest in the world by volume. Though not as tall as some others, its base spreads wide. It is so big that you can walk inside parts of it through passageways dug by explorers. The pyramid wasn't built in one go. It grew over time. Cultures such as the Toltecs, the previous inhabitants, and the later Aztecs all had roles. Every stone, every terrace, every temple is a piece of stories from rulers, from rituals, from ancient beliefs. And today, when you climb its slopes, walk through its excavated halls, you feel time pressing in. Centuries, layers of human hands, faith, wonder. Speaking about wonder, ever seen fire in water? Number 9. The Eye of Fire on the Sea. In July 2001, the waters of the Gulf of Mexico became the scene of an unbelievable sight. A leak in an underwater gas pipeline, operated by a Mexican oil company, caused a fire to erupt just below the surface of the sea. What followed looked like something out of science fiction. Bright orange flames burst from the ocean, rising and swirling in waves.
This is real. This video captured today when the ocean caught fire in the Gulf of Mexico just west of the Yucatan Peninsula.
To witnesses, it looked as though a giant molten whirlpool had opened up, soon called the Eye of Fire. The flames burned for almost 5 hours before workers managed to control them. Boats surrounded the fiery patch of water, spraying jets of water, while workers injected nitrogen into the pipeline to stop the fuel feeding the blaze. Eventually, the fire was extinguished, but the images had already spread worldwide. Many described it as the ocean itself catching fire. Others compared it to the gates of hell opening in the sea. Environmentalists, however, were deeply concerned. A fire like this, along with the gas leak that caused it, posed serious risks to marine life. Though officials claimed that no oil spilled into the water, scientists warned of long-term ecological damage. The event reminded the world of the dangers hidden in the sea, where pipelines crisscross the ocean floor. For Mexico, the Eye of Fire became not only a dramatic image, but also a warning about the fragility of nature. Number 10. The Crystal Skulls. Across Mexico and Central America, a strange set of artifacts has captured the imagination of explorers and believers: the crystal skulls. These objects, carved from clear or milky quartz, resemble human skulls with remarkable precision. Some are small, while others are life-sized. They first appeared in the 19th century, supposedly discovered in ancient ruins, though their true origins remain uncertain. The most famous is the Mitchell Hedges skull, said to have been found in Belize in the 1920s by a young woman exploring a ruined temple. Its features are so perfectly carved that modern experts have struggled to explain how ancient tools could shape such detail without shattering the crystal.
Mayan elders that come from Lubantun, where the skull was found, they say that it's a communicator to the gods.
Some believe the skulls are proof of lost technologies. Others think they were fakes created in Europe during the 1800s. Yet the myths grew stronger. Stories claimed that the skulls hold supernatural powers. Some said they could heal sickness, others that they stored ancient wisdom from the Maya, Aztecs, or even advanced civilizations like Atlantis. A popular legend suggested that when all 13 crystal skulls were brought together, they would reveal secrets of humanity's future. Despite scientific doubts, the skulls remain magnetic. Museums, private collectors, and travelers continue to showcase them. Their strange presence blurs the line between myth and reality. Whether they are true relics of ancient craftsmanship or clever creations from later times, the crystal skulls still trigger curiosity and awe, their glassy eyes watching silently through the centuries. Number 11. The Nazca-like geoglyphs of Mexico. In the deserts and dry plains of Mexico, aerial surveys have revealed enormous designs etched into the ground. Much like the famous Nazca lines of Peru, these geoglyphs stretch across barren landscapes, visible only from above. Shapes of animals, spirals, and geometric patterns appear when seen from the sky, sparking both wonder and speculation. Archaeologists believe these were created by ancient peoples by clearing rocks and soil, exposing lighter earth beneath. Some of the figures may have been made for ritual purposes, possibly to honor gods connected to rain, fertility, or the sun. Others might have been giant markers, guiding travelers or traders through vast open terrain. One striking geoglyph found in northern Mexico shows a humanoid figure with outstretched arms, almost as if calling to the heavens. Another reveals a giant spiral, carefully aligned with celestial movements. These designs required coordination, planning, and a community working together. Without aerial views, It's hard to imagine how the builders understood the scale of what they created. The discovery of these geoglyphs fuels debates. Were they purely ceremonial, meant for gods to see from above? Or did ancient people use simple methods, mapping the designs with ropes and posts? Some even suggest contact with outside cultures, linking them to distant traditions. Whatever their origin, the Mexican geoglyphs remind us of how humans express their beliefs on a grand scale.
And the Nazca lines are a huge part of what makes them function as a system.
Patterns carved into the earth carry hidden meanings from those who walked the land long ago. Number 12. Calakmul, the monarch of the jungle. In the thick jungle of Campeche, Mexico, there lies a lost kingdom that once rivaled the greatest Maya cities, Calakmul. Known also as the Snake Head Kingdom, it dominated the rainforest canopy and fought for power with Tikal and other Maya cities. Calakmul is massive. Over 70 square kilometers of ruins, over 6,000 structures, pyramids visible above the treetops, hidden plazas, palace complexes, stelae, all buried for centuries by vines and leaves.
There's no other place where you can enjoy something like this, and it's here in Campeche, Mexico.
Few outsiders saw it until explorers in the 20th century began mapping the jungle. UNESCO declared Calakmul a World Heritage Site. The dense forest kept much of its secret, preserving temples, stairways, hieroglyphs. The structures show how the Maya built massive political power, centers of ritual, trade, war. One of the major features is the Gran Acropolis, a large complex combining royal residences, temples, and public spaces. The city was not small. It was a hub of power, influence over other cities. It collected tribute, controlled trade routes, and ceremonies. Visiting Calakmul today means imagining a lost civilization. It once was a seat of kings, of power, now partly reclaimed by trees, but powerful still in what it whispers of glory long past. Number 13. The Zone of Silence. Far in northern Mexico, stretching across parts of Durango, Coahuila, and Chihuahua, lies a place locals call La Zona del Silencio, the Zone of Silence. It overlaps with the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve, a patch of desert and scrubland. Over time, stories grew up about radio signals dropping out, compasses getting messed up, even satellites losing signal while passing overhead. These claims are part legend, part fantasy. Geologically, the land is odd. It is composed of salt deposits, fossils from an ancient seabed, and mineral-rich soils. Mining happens in parts.
The Zone of Silence is surrounded by a mountain range which can easily cause interference.
The terrain is dry, remote with sparse vegetation. Scientists have looked at the stories critically. Some say that unusual mineral content could affect magnetic fields, maybe even interfere with some electronics. Others point out many of the claims have weak evidence, based on hearsay. Still, the zone draws tourists, curious people, UFO watchers, radio enthusiasts. The mystery itself has become part of the place. People go there hoping to feel the weirdness like silence in the waves of the radio, shadowy skies, strange lights. Whether or not electronics truly fail, the Zone of Silence is real as a legend and as a part of local identity. It shows how people see landscape not just as land, but as a space capable of mystery. Now, this next one will definitely give you something to think about. Number 14. Pakal the Great's tomb and the water tunnels under Palenque. In the green hills of Chiapas, in an old Maya city called Palenque, lived a king named Kinich Janab Pakal. He ruled from about 615 to 683 AD, and after his passing, his people built a grand burial chamber under a pyramid called the Temple of the Inscriptions. It wasn't until 1952 that archaeologist Alberto Ruz Luillier discovered his tomb. Deep under the temple, they found a carved stone sarcophagus with Pakal's body, surrounded by jade and artifacts. The lid shows Pakal wearing a rich dress, emerging near a mythic tree-like symbol, what scholars interpret as the Maya world tree. His jade mask and other treasures were buried with him. But even more surprising, recent work uncovered small tunnels or canals built beneath that temple.
And when they dedicate the temple, what do they show? Who do they show in the center of the composition?
These are stone-lined channels, narrow but carefully constructed. One main canal runs under the mausoleum, another joins it from the side. Archaeologists think the tunnels channel water under the tomb, possibly coming from a spring. Some believe this design gave Pakal's spirit a path toward the underworld through water. In Maya belief, water often connects the living and the dead. The Maya built this not just as a tomb, but as an instrument of spiritual journey. The tunnels are small, hidden, but their purpose echoes the beliefs of the people. Number 15. The Mammoth Graveyard. Around 15,000 years ago, in what is now Tepexpan, just north of Mexico City, people did something remarkable. They built traps to hunt mammoths. Archaeologists have found two huge pits, each about 1.7 meters deep and 25 meters wide. The pits are human-made and filled with the bones of at least 14 woolly mammoths, over 800 bones altogether. Alongside the mammoth remains, scientists also found pieces of a camel jaw,
and we'll kind of just get this assembly line it. Right.
And a horse tooth, species that disappeared long ago in that region. Some mammoth bones show marks like cuts, and one skull has a spear wound, suggesting people didn't just wait for mammoths to slowly lose their lives. They attacked them. Ancient hunters may have used torches and branches to guide mammoth herds toward these pits. The find is important because it changes what people thought, that early humans mostly scavenged mammoths or took advantage of natural traps. Tepexpan shows they planned, built traps, coordinated hunts. These remain at the site and will be displayed at the Mammoth Museum in Tepexpan, so visitors can see what mammoth hunters long ago were capable of. Number 16. Murals of Bonampak. Deep in the Lacandon jungle in Chiapas, Mexico, in the old Maya city of Bonampak, something extraordinary lies hidden inside a small, 3-room building called Structure. The Maya painted its walls around during the reign of King Chanmuan. The paint, however, is still vivid, even though centuries have passed. The building covers about 17 feet high, 55 feet long, and 13 feet wide. In those 3 rooms, the murals spread across walls and ceilings. In the first room, there's a serene ceremony. King Chanmuan presents his son, his heir, before nobles and priests. The figures wear elaborate headdresses, white robes, and jade breastplates. Music plays. Judges and courtiers watch.
This order of band members is also typical for the Maya. Rattles in front, then drums, turtle shells.
In the second room, there's both celebration and sacrifice. Royals, maidens, nobles take part in rituals of bloodletting. Instruments appear. Drums, rattles, conch-shell trumpets. In the third room, the mood changes. There's war and captured enemies. The Maya didn't shy away from showing violence. There are scenes of torture, prisoners with broken fingernails, being dragged, weapons raised. It shocks you, because you don't expect such brutal realism in ancient murals. But the Maya needed to show power, danger, victory. It's part of their story. The art's not just decorative, it's religious and political storytelling. Number 17. Aztec Sunstone. In December 1970, workers repairing the Plaza of Mexico City discovered something buried, a massive carved stone hidden under the Zocalo. This was the Aztec Sunstone, also called the Mexica Sunstone, made of basalt. The disc is huge, about 3.6 meters in diameter, 98 centimeters thick, and weighs around 25 tons. It was carved between 15 and 1521, while the Aztec Empire was still strong. Its surface is full of symbols. In the center is the face of the sun god Tonatiuh, whose tongue is shown as a stone blade. Around him are glyphs that represent time cycles, days, perhaps the eras of suns, world ages. On its outer edge are decorative motifs and calendar glyphs. Some think it served as more than art, an altar, a representation of cosmic order, maybe used during ceremonies. After its discovery, the stone was placed on the wall of the Mexico City Cathedral. Later, in 1885, it was moved to the National Museum of Anthropology, where it stands today. People come from all over to look at it, to see its carvings, to wonder about the beliefs it represents, including time, sacrifice, and human place in the universe. Number 18. The Mummies of Guanajuato. In the colonial town of Guanajuato, Mexico, something strange happened in the 19th century. A terrible cholera outbreak swept through the city around 1833, and many lives were lost. Those bodies were buried above ground in crypts, many in stone burial vaults. The climate in Guanajuato is dry, mineral-rich, and some vaults were well sealed. Over time, bodies belonging to families who couldn't always pay a special perpetual burial tax required to keep a loved one buried forever were removed. To everyone's surprise, some of those removed bodies had dried out, preserved almost like natural mummies. Workers stored the more intact corpses in a building, and over decades people came to peek, out of curiosity or fear. It soon became a spectacle. By 1969, that building was turned into El Museo de las Momias, the Museum of the Mummies of Guanajuato. Today, the collection has about 111 mummies, of which maybe 59 are displayed.
I can't believe they just have one out here that you can take pictures with. It's kind of nutty.
The mummies are scary. Some still have hair, or the clothes in which they passed. Some faces appear frozen in horror, though this is more about how skin, muscles, and jaw relax after death, also changes from drying. They include men, women, children, even infants. One mummy is famously small, no bigger than a loaf of bread. The museum is dim. Glass cases hold these figures, which once were people, revealing what life after disease looked like in the past. Number 19. Templo Mayor, the heart of an empire. In what is now downtown Mexico City, under the Zócalo, main plaza, lie remains of an ancient empire's center, the Templo Mayor of Tenochtitlan. It was the main temple of the Aztecs, Mexica people, built first around 1325 when Tenochtitlan was founded. Over decades, it was rebuilt many times, at least 6 major reconstructions, as rulers sought to expand and renew the temple. The temple was enormous. The base measured about 100 by 80 meters, with dual stairways leading to 2 shrines at the top, one dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, god of war, and the other to Tlaloc, god of rain and fertility. These 2 gods were crucial. On ritual days, priests would make sacrifices, offerings, and hold ceremonies here. The temple symbolized power, whether spiritual, political, or cosmological. After the Spanish conquest in 1521, the temple was destroyed. Much of its stone was removed and reused, and a cathedral built nearby. For centuries, its ruins lay beneath the growing colonial city until 1978, when excavations began in earnest. Archaeologists uncovered stairways, altars, offerings, and layers upon layers of construction. Artifacts were found, including sculptures, costumes, tools, offerings, burials. Today, there is a museum at the site, part of the archaeological zone of Templo Mayor. Visitors can walk among stone ruins, see the foundation of the old temple, and view relics in the museum. The site has been restored and reopened, recently after weather damage in 2021, so that people can glimpse the heart of the Aztec capital, overlaid now by modern city streets. Number 20. The Tepexpan Man. In February 1947, near the former shoreline of Lake Texcoco in central Mexico, archaeologist Helmut de Terra found human remains known as Tepexpan Man. The skeleton lay in sediment mixed with bones of Ice Age animals and old stone tools. The body was discovered face down, arms tucked under the chest, legs bent up toward the body. The skull, jaw bones, and other parts were damaged or missing. At first, scientists thought the bones were more than 10,000 years old.
The team of scientists excavating on Flores uncovered the partial skeleton, which we now know as LB1.
Because they were found with bones of extinct mammals. But later studies suggested the human remains themselves might be younger, about 4,700 years old. Sediment and geological layers around the skeleton show changes in climate, lake water levels, plant life, and volcanic activity over thousands of years. The site also yielded animal fossils and tools. Because of all this, a museum was built in 1955 right at the location, Museo de Tepexpan, to show the human and animal bones, tools, and the environment as it was long ago. Tepexpan Man remains one of the important discoveries for understanding human life, climate change, and how people lived by ancient lakes in Mexico's past. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.